Look, I want to prove with this video that you can create things with like 2% knowledge, 0% skill, and like the bare minimum of material. And with that, I mean, I just had clay. I literally just had clay, my hands, and everything I could like scavenge from my room. I did this with my hands and clay and nothing else. I feel like most channels, when they do like DIY things, these are people that know what they're doing, and you look at them and it looks so effortlessly, and you think like I could never, which is just not true, you know. You don't need to have any skill to start creating things, you know. Creating is human. Like doing art is human, all kinds of arts. Like, I think it's just something so natural, and we're just getting told it's not. And that's why people stop creating and think they need to be a certain skill level, or that their work must be commercialized in order to be worth creating. And that's just not true, you know? You know, just go and create, you know, go be human. Look, if you're working with clay or pottery and you're looking at me and being like, my God, what the hell is she doing? You look, I feel you, yeah? But that's not the point of this video. I want to like teach, and I want to show, even if you're completely improvising, you can end up with something like this. Is it perfect? No. Can I sell it on Etsy? No. I don't want to. Like, that's not the point of this little guy, you know? And is he not the cutest you have ever seen? I love him. He's not perfect or anything, but he doesn't need to be, you know, in order to be worth something. He's like, I'm so proud of him, you know? You could ask, why in the world would you go out and make a money bowl from scratch? Why not just like normal people get a cornflake muesli bowl, preferably one in green, and just put your stuff into this pre-made bowl? Good question, I'm glad you asked. The thing is, I have this weird thing where I can connect better with actual beings. I'm not sure why I have this thing, but if something is a thing and I can talk to it, everything works better. Yeah, that's it. Like, I can just, if I have an emotional connection to the thing I'm working with, yeah, everything goes smoother, easier, it's more powerful. I'm not sure why that is, and I'm not sure how to explain it, but I'm sure some of you can relate, at least I hope so. So that's why the only two plants that have names in my house are the two that protect my space, which are my two olive trees, which are called Oliver and Olivia. And that's also why the protector of my plants is William. This is a snail my mom made for me. Like, here's the sigil underneath. The protector of my home, another one, is Matilda, also a snail my mom made. So that's why I thought, okay, in order for this money bowl to work better for me, I will just make it myself. To make it into a being I can relate to and talk to and be like, build an emotional connection to, because I know that this will increase the power and efficiency of the whole thing and the whole spell. Actually, the title is a bit clickbait, I know. Where's it going with this channel? Like 2 days ago I was kind of depressed and sad and lonely. So I decided, you know what, like, fuck this. I will just make myself a clay monster because I feel sad. Yeah, that was my thought pattern. So I did. For the first time doing something with clay, it's super funny and I still love him. I present to you Edgar. See, look at him. Look at his feet. Oh no. Anyway, I love him, you know, I still love him, but he just looks so funny. If you put him down, it always looks like he's like searching for something that he dropped on the floor. And you know why that is? When I was sitting on my bed, I was like working on him like this on my knee, because I'm like this. And everything I worked on, of course, for me was pointing up, and my brain didn't make the connection that if I would turn it around, everything would point down. That's why he always looks like he lost something. So this was my first attempt, and I thought, okay, right, I will make a second attempt. And for this, I wanted to create one of these tiny monster beings for my money bowl to connect with it. And so I did. I just did. As you know, this is my tiny money bowl My tiny, I don't want to call it money board actually. Let's say, this is my tiny money cat. So he doesn't have a name yet, so drop your drop your ideas in the comment section, because I'm very curious how you would name him. And I want to show in this video how I managed to do that with like 0 skill, 2% knowledge, and like, yeah, clay and everything I could find in my room. It's like, it will be a ride, guys. But I hope you enjoy it as much as I did. So, for Edgar over here, I just went in it with no thought at all. I just started creating. I wanted to be a bit more organized. That's why I went on Pinterest, searched for like ceramic bowls, and found like this world of like pots and bowls that had like faces and different animals. Then I found this cat bowl, and I will put the original next to it. And when I saw it, I knew that I wanted to go for something like this. I don't fully know why I identified cats with money. Maybe it's because of Pokemon, or maybe it's because of Skyrim. Not sure, but I knew that this would be what I wanted to go for. For him over here, I didn't research anything. I just went in it and improvised the whole process. And so with that said, let's start. So I started with the clay, and because I didn't know how to work with clay, I just pretended that it would be cookie dough. And because I don't have this wooden rolling thing you prepare the cookie dough with, I used an empty wine bottle. Once it was like thin enough and somewhat even, I decided to mold it around this ceramic bowl I found in my cabinet. This is actually for preparing lemon juice, and this will catch the lemon juice from the lemon itself, but it was the best thing I could find. Because I needed something to heighten up the ceramic bowl in order to work with the clay better in a heightened position, I found this thermos can bottle in my cabinet as well and filled some water in so it wouldn't fall over as easily because of the weight. This worked very well. Again, it's very improvised, but if it works, it works. Now I decided to mold the clay over the ceramic bowl, or at least I attempted it, to get somewhat of a cohesive shape out of it, which worked semi-good. I also decided to put a plastic bag around the bowl because last time I didn't do that and had lots of problems to get Edgar off the ceramic bowl I used at the time. So this time I decided to be on the safe side and put a plastic bag underneath, which worked very well. I could get it off very easily. So you can see that I have my laptop open here and have the Pinterest picture I will link in the description that I wanted to use as a guidance. So right now I wanted to do all the parts I needed for the cat. So I started with the ears and kind of tried to freely form it somewhat that it would look like an ear. And because this is improvised as hell, you see that I use my ruler that was flying around somewhere to cut the pieces. And when you're questioning why this is so colorful, that's because I also use it as a color plate when I work with watercolor, because I don't know where else to mix my watercolors. So for the tail and legs, I don't really have a system behind it. I just try to make it somehow recognizable, and I think I managed to do that quite good. put this thing on top to see if the legs would be able to carry the bowl on all 4 of them, because for Edgar there are just 2 legs that hold the whole little monster on its feet, and I wanted to make sure that this time all 4 legs were part of the process. To get an even shape, I decided to cut the edges because I wanted to be able to have somewhat of a decent cohesive form, an even height on all sides. As you could see with Edgar at the back, I didn't do that, and the whole thing has different lengths and heights everywhere you look. So that's why I cut the edges to make it even. Then I used some water to make the roughness of the edge go smoother. Now I decided to make the clay a bit wetter because I hope that the other clay parts would stick better to it, because I didn't have any other things to prepare the clay with. I used one of my brushes and made the other end of it sharp so that I could use it to carve into the clay. I roughened the ends where I wanted the legs to go a bit because I hoped that this would create more surface so the individual pieces would hold better onto the clay surface. And to glue them down in a way, I used this tiny wooden thing you get from ice cream and just connected the clay with the clay bottom, and it worked very well. Now, when I decided to do the ears, I didn't like the shape I created previously. That's why I just cut it again with my ruler and decided to smoothen out the edges. Before that, both of them looked so differently that I just couldn't really make it work. Getting the ears onto the edge of the bowl was quite difficult. That's why I marked with my brush the location I wanted the ears to go, because I wanted it to be parallel to the legs, not like with Edgar where the legs are so far away from the body that it looks like it doesn't belong together. And this worked out very well. I like how it turned out in the end. I'm doing the same thing again I did with the legs. Now this time it's of course a bit trickier because I cannot go under the bowl itself to connect it from the other side. That's why in the end you can see that there's a very distinct line when you look from the inside where the ears connect with the bowl. But I still managed to do it well enough so it didn't move anymore. It was very secure. With the tail I did the same thing. That was even more complicated because it's so much thicker than the edge itself, and because of that in the end, and because I needed to connect it with the bowl again, the lower part of the tail is very much thinner than the upper part right above that, but I don't mind. I think it looks kind of funny, and in the end it held it together very well throughout the whole drying process and painting process, so it fully worked out. So here you can see how it looks so far, and I think it's already pretty cute. Of course it doesn't look like the original photo I took for reference, but that's not exactly what I'm going for. I just wanted to have a red line to guide me, but I didn't want to copy the other person's pottery. Now I put him off to dry because this is air dried clay, and after 3 days it was completely dry. You can see now the sharp line on the inside between the ears and the base of the bowl. The most important thing is that it holds together, which it very much did. So for the painting process, I wanted to use different types of green. Also you can see here, this is actually a plate you put on the planting pot. Don't ask me why I have my acrylic paints in here, but yeah, this is the place where I store them. So this is all the acrylic paints I own. I wanted to use the gold one because, of course, money is shiny. like gold. The only expensive acrylics I own are the big blue one and the big red one. The others were all €1. Because of that I didn't have any green, so I decided to mix the 2 blues I owned with the only yellow I owned and created these different kinds of green I went for to paint my cat. I didn't really have a system behind it, I just went a bit darker the lower I got. That's why the bottom of the bowl is way darker than the top of the tail, for example. Of course, green is the most used color when it comes to money spells. That's why I decided to go for green. I decided to make the inside of the bowl in a very dark green because I thought about how black absorbs light and warmth way better than white does, and I thought maybe this would be a good idea so that the darkness of the bowl would attract what I was looking for and searching for way easier inside of it. And also, as I found out later, I just really love the contrast between the bright green and the dark green from the inside. I decided to make the tail and the ears again with a very much lighter green because I wanted to make the contrast between the inside of the bowl and the outside a bit stronger. I actually was kind of afraid to paint the tail because I wasn't sure if it would hold together and not break off, but it was very secure, surprisingly. I was very proud that I managed to connect it so well that I didn't have any problems with it being not safe to handle and work with. Now comes the gold paint. Of course, I decided to go with gold because this is also a color that is absolutely associated with kind of like being wealthy and rich. Not only is gold like, of course, wealthy, but it's also very shiny. This particular color also reflects light in a very nice way, which makes it even shinier. And I wanted it to be somewhat like neon lights or glitter where it just takes your attention. I thought that was a very nice side effect of using this paint. So I decided to go all around the edge because I wanted the very dark part from the inside and the rest from the wall to connect more easily. That's why I decided to use this as a kind of border. Then, like the reference picture I used, I also decided to go around I wanted to use one gold line. And now I decided for the feet as well as for the tail that I wanted to give it an interesting pattern, and I decided to go for this. First I wanted to go for like this tiger stripes cats have, but I decided to make a tinier version of this, you could say. None of these lines are straight, and that's because my hands are very shaky. That's because I'm taking a specific kind of medication which has like shakiness and nervousness as a side effect, sadly. And because I cannot change that, I needed to take into account that all of these lines would not turn out straight at all. But you know, I still love how it looks. I think it's kind of cute that everything looks absolutely not straight. So I'm really not disappointed by that. Now comes the face, and I wanted it to look like super cute because I like cute things, and decided to draw the face on with like a black liner. So if I wouldn't like it, I could still overpaint it with green again. But I love the first try I make it. I think it looks very, very cute, and I'm very happy how it turned out. Like, I'm actually like super happy how it turned out. I didn't show this here, but after I finished the cat and let it sit on my altar for a few days, I decided to go back in with a red Posca pen and make like tiny red cheeks and painted the whiskers over it again, and I think this looks like even cuter. Like, I can't handle how cute he looks. Even from far away you can see like the gold glowing and the red cheeks glowing. It's like, it's amazing, it's amazing. Of course the whiskers do not look the same, and I knew that would happen, and I really don't mind. I learned throughout the years of doing art that my perfectionism always ruined the process for me. So I managed at some point a few years back to just throw it out of the window, and since then I actually love everything I create, no matter how like improvised or weird it might look. I just hope I can inspire others to just try it, you know? Just, even though you have zero experience and zero skill, just go for it. I can't believe I didn't do that sooner. It's so much fun. No matter how flawed it might look or how not in harmony things will be, it doesn't matter because you're still creating, and that's the important part.